there we go. Yeah, really appreciate you doing this again, Dr. Yoon. It's we always enjoy hearing from you.
Well, my pleasure. So you had a name change, is that right? Because I do recall visiting that area, but I'm not sure if it was called Gateway Association.
Well, we have two associations in the area. I was government affairs director for 3 associations down here. You came to an event for RASI, the Realtor Association of Southwest Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just to the south of us. Last year, you were supposed to come to our place, but couldn't because of the reorg.
Yes.
The same day as the NAR reorganization. So.
Yeah, and we had, this was before the Zoom technology and so forth, so it was a little cumbersome way of connecting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I literally held a microphone to something. I forget what I had to do, but we made it work. So it worked all right. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah.
So how long have you been with NAR now?
A long time, from year 2000. But my chief economist role, he spent 10 years now.
Wow, congrats.
So it was in the last foreclosure crisis when I got the job as the chief economist. Fortunately, we came out of that. It was quite painful, but now, market is doing very well, so fortunately.
Yep. Knock on wood. Or other economic factors. I'm not sure if the knock on wood model holds, but I do it anyway. My wife doesn't drink coffee, but last night she I made a whole pot, and so she had a cup. About 2:30 in the morning, she wakes me up and says, "I can't sleep." I can't sleep. So that woke me up and made it a little harder. Dr. Yoon, do you mind clicking on the participants? And attendees, Desiree Benioff is in there.
Yes.
She's the CEO of the Glen Chamber.
Yes.
So if you could maybe make her a panelist, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you very much. And I have my president as well, Elaine Rhodes. She's a panelist as well, and Katie with the Glen Chamber. So.
Kyle, I'm going to leave myself muted until I need to say something, or if I need to say something, okay?
You can say whatever you want to say, Desiree.
No one ever gives me that latitude, so I appreciate that.
Okay, so it's 8 a.m. We are recording this, just so everybody knows, and it will be the Ed Glen Chamber and Greater Gateway will have the ability to share that with its members. Dr. Yoon has graciously allowed us to do that, and we are very much appreciative of that. So we are excited to have Dr. Yoon the day after a very long night of election results that, as predicted, still isn't conclusive. I think each side has their own take on it, that there's still a shot or we won, but as we know, the president declared victory. So I don't think we're going to find out for sure. I don't think the other side is going to concede for a little bit, but as we all know, the economy is going to go on. The real estate market's going to go on no matter who takes hold, and we want to use every resource that we have available to us. And Dr. Yoon is one of the best resources we have to prepare you for the future and what it's going to hold, what he's seen, everything like that. As I mentioned to him earlier, he's always one of our key stops, and I know Elaine will back me up on that. For NAR convention, he will always, he's always our one of our stops. We have to watch him, and I always learn a lot every single time. He's been in the chief economist role, he mentioned earlier, for 10 years. He's very familiar with our area. I'm going to shut up, Dr. Yoon. They didn't come to hear me talk or give you an intro. If you want to talk a little bit more about yourself and let them know a little bit more, feel free. Des, you want to say anything? Or Katie, you want to mention anything about Glen?
No, just good morning. Thanks to all the Glen Chamber business members who joined us this morning, and we look forward to what Dr. Yoon has to share. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to all of our members as well for waking up on very, very early. We are in the middle of our NAR convention, and so Dr. Yoon's time is very valuable. He'll give us about half an hour, and I think we'll answer some questions maybe as well. There should be a question and answer tab that you can click on that will pop up the questions. So Dr. Yoon, it's all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle, for introducing, and I'm glad that you are able to do this meeting with the chamber, because we always encourage the local association to get involved with other groups in their local community, because it's all about developing community. I hope people in the audience, I know it's very early in the morning, especially I'm assuming that many people had a very long night, or if you had any night at all, trying to see what the results are. Very interesting, and we'll see how everything plays out. One big loser of this whole election process is the pollsters, where everyone predicted about 10 percentage point win. Well, that's not going to happen. So for 2 straight presidential election years, the pollsters got it wrong. Now, related to the Senate, which, from NAR's perspective, we are very engaged in terms of the congressional races. We stay out of the presidential election races. We work with whoever is in the White House. We're happy to work to explain our policy positions, and sometimes switch their policy. But related to congressional election, I think that it looks like the Senate will be retained by the Republicans, which means that any legislation that goes through and becomes a law would require some compromise and bipartisan support. And in general, from an economist point of view, that means a modest shift in any new policy, which would be a good development. Going into the economy, because economy has to still go, even though we don't know about the election result, is that it partly depends on whether the economy remains open or we go into another lockdown. In Britain, it announced just a couple of days ago, they are going to go another second lockdown for 1 month. And if we go into a lockdown here in the US, I mean, that's going to be an economic killer. I know that we have to contain the virus, this deadly virus that is spreading across the US. And if we remember back in March of this year, when we had the lockdown, it was quite scary. We didn't know about the nature of the virus. Only thing that we saw was from China that people were dying. And then it spread to Europe, and even the medical doctors in Italy were dying from treating COVID. So when it came to the US, we were frozen. If we touch a doorknob and accidentally touch our face, is that a death sentence? We were very scared on that front. For realtors, we were very concerned about lack of business opportunity. If you cannot show homes, how are you going to conduct your business, your commission income? Because you have your own personal mortgage to pay, other financial obligation. So this was very scary time back in March, April. But fortunately, here we are in November, and the real estate market is rolling along very nicely. One of the very few sectors that is doing very well in this pandemic period, because buying a home has become quite special in this pandemic period. And I will go into other reasons as to why we are having this uniqueness of home purchase, which may carry on in 2021 and beyond. As an economist, I speak better with PowerPoint slides, so let me put that onto the screen. So bear with me as I upload it onto the screen. Okay, here we are. So first, related to the broader economy, which is GDP, President Trump or the Vice President Biden constantly mentioned the importance of GDP, which measures the total US economic activity. And what you see on the last two data points is off the chart negative in the second quarter. We never experienced that deep downfall, but if we are shut down, locked down, not able to go outside, well, how do you conduct business commerce? So the economy collapsed. But then as the economy reopened, you see a surge in economic activity. Now, only thing on this is just for math geeks, and maybe if you have a high school student, ask them this question. Say you have $100 and you lose 50%, and then you regain 50%. You do the math, and you'll find out that you are not back whole. Even though the percentage changes are same, you go down 50%, then you come back up 50%, you are still down. And that's where we are. So even though the number on the GDP growth rate looks very positive, we are still not back to normal in terms of economic activity. Because of the collapse that happened in the second quarter, the Federal Reserve went all in, maximum liquidity policy. Interest rates, the Fed funds rate that you see here, what the banks borrow from each other at zero, and quantitative easing like buying mortgage-backed securities. But the end result for the ordinary consumer is we have record low mortgage rates. Mortgage rates averaging 2.8%. I mean, these are incredible rates. And then hence people want to take advantage of low interest rates. Another area that Washington pursued was maximum fiscal policy. Bipartisanship in Washington is a dirty word, especially in election, but back in March and April, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, along with President Trump said, we need to put the money out to the people. Let's give them $1,200 stimulus check. Let's give the enhanced unemployment insurance benefits. And also the small business administration loans. So many small business owners can get the cash to at least hopefully ride the pandemic wave, and hopefully when the economy reopens, they're back on their feet. But it's costing a huge amount in federal budget deficit, huge amount. But the consensus view is to say, let's fix the economy first and worry about budget deficit later. So just want to highlight that there's maximum fiscal policy out there, even though it's blowing up the federal budget deficit to try to minimize the economic damage. Now, if one looks at the job changes, it looks like the following. So Illinois, you can see that you are down 6.8% from 1 year ago in terms of total jobs. Missouri is down 4.2%. I highlight that because I know many of you are St. Louis Cardinals fan rather than Chicago Cubs or White Sox fan, just from the geography and part of the St. Louis metropolitan statistical area. So this is the decline, which is about national average. But if you look at Idaho or Utah, they're almost back up to normal. They're down only 1% or less, because the governor in Utah and Idaho decided to reopen the economy much sooner and said, we have to conduct business. But if you look at New York or California, they're saying we need to shut the economy down for longer because we want to contain the coronavirus. But you see the economic damage, much larger decline. Now, Nevada and Hawaii, they're tourism dependent, so they are down a lot. But right now, the swing states, you look at Michigan, Pennsylvania, which had a strict lockdown. So their job situation is far worse compared to the rest of the country because of strict lockdown in Michigan and Pennsylvania. Wisconsin is sort of in between, but these three states evidently will determine the presidential outcome. But one other point of note is all 50 states had a very low unemployment rate before the pandemic. Then once we hit the pandemic, things diverged depending upon whether the governor wanted to have a strict, longer lockdown or more short lockdown and opening up in a relaxing way. So you see a large variation across the country. If we look at the total jobs in the US over the past 20 years, it looks like the following. For the past 20 years, the middle of the chart shows the subprime lending days and the foreclosure crisis. So we had an artificial job creation because we gave money without income documentation and overstretched people's budget. And then we suffered the foreclosure crisis. And certainly your area also suffered the foreclosure crisis from that point. But once we went past the foreclosure crisis, America experienced the longest economic expansion ever. 10 straight years of consistent job creation, 10 straight years. Then we hit a pandemic and a lockdown. And in a single month in April, we lost 10 years of job creation in a single month. All that jobs gone in a single month. But as you can see in the latest data point, jobs are coming around as we are reopening the economy. Again, Idaho, Utah leading the way, while New York, Pennsylvania are trailing behind, depending upon what kind of lockdown policy they had. So you see the US job market, where only half recover. We need another 10 million job creation to get us back to normal. Let's look at your area. This is the greater St. Louis metro market, which includes the 4 counties in Illinois. And this looks very similar to the US. You see the sort of the subprime lending boom, followed by foreclosure crisis, job losses, and then 10 straight years of job creation, lockdown, and now jobs recovery. So something very similar case. I put greater St. Louis metro market because this will become increasingly more important. As people think about working in office in downtown St. Louis, well, far fewer people will need to go to downtown office every single day, I think, in the future. There will be a large degree of work from home flexibility. And if that is the case, people are wondering, well, where do I choose residence? Maybe I begin to choose residence based on school district if you have children. I know people already do that, but now they have even greater flexibility than ever before, knowing that the commuting to downtown St. Louis is less important. So I think you will begin to see even greater number of parents determining the residential location based upon school. I know that some, maybe they said within say 15 miles of downtown St. Louis, but now they may expand it to 30 miles from downtown St. Louis if they don't have to commute every single day. And hence the southwestern Illinois area, I think, could benefit from some of this trend. Let's look at the income situation. Income growth in America generally rises about 3 or 4% each year. But during the months of the pandemic, it actually grew faster. And how is this possible? And the answer is, again, the stimulus measure. $1,200 check. If you're working at a Macy's department store, lost a job, filing for unemployment insurance, and what do you know? The unemployment check is actually higher than the wages they were receiving. So quite generous unemployment benefits, all that has provided the income support boost during the months of the pandemic. And I wanna thank President Elaine because all local association presidents, we are trying to communicate and then hence relay the information about the realtors as an independent contractors for the first time ever should qualify for unemployment insurance when their businesses were disrupted back in March, April, or for however long your business was disrupted. So at least the realtor has some access to income during this time of lockdown. What are people doing with this stimulus income? They're not spending. If you cannot go see St. Louis Cardinals game in person, well, there's less activity. If you cannot do indoor dining or cautious, less activity. So spending is down from 1 year ago. America will discover vaccine. That's a definite. Whether later this year, early next year, it will be discovered. And then availability may be spring or early summer of next year in terms of wide availability. So this is hinting that once the vaccine is available, there could be an unleashing of consumer spending back into the economy. Again, people have saved up some of their stimulus income and they have not spent. So once the vaccine is discovered, there could be some power to the economic activity that arises. But in the meantime, during the pandemic months, it's interesting as to where people are spending money and not spending money. Spending more money at beer, wine, liquor stores. And you say, well, people are depressed, they need to drown out their sorrows. And the answer is actually more of the case that they cannot drink outside at bars, restaurants, so they're doing more indoor at home consumption. Online shopping is up, we know that, but maybe you did not know that it was up 20%. Spending for building material or gardening, up solidly. Home Depot CEO has been recently saying he is amazed at the revenue growth at Home Depot. He never expected, he never seen this powerful revenue growth because people are viewing their home as something special, want to put the flowers, landscaping, remodeling. So people are spending more for their housing as they are staying in their home for a longer period. Maybe people are bored at home, so they're buying sporting goods and bicycles, maybe chess games. So that is up while people are driving less, not going to the restaurants. If you don't have to go to office in person, then why do you need new clothes? And anything related to tourism, souvenirs, down greatly. Now let's turn to the very positive news of the housing. Home sales are much higher this autumn compared to 1 year ago. Who would have thought? In the midst of a pandemic, high unemployment, yet home sales are higher. One big driver, record low mortgage rates. So that is really bringing buyers into the market and home sales much higher, 20% higher compared to 1 year before. Home builders, newly constructed home sales, up 30, 40%, depending upon which month. So whatever the builders build, they can easily sell it. No problem in it. Right now, the builders are facing some challenges about lumber prices, which have tripled, the construction worker availability, some of the zoning regulations, but whatever the builders build, they don't have trouble finding a buyer. Pending contracts happens before closing, record high, implying that November, December, January home sales number could be one of the better ones, compared to the comparable months in other years. We know that spring and summer is always busier. When we look at the winter months, we should only compare with other winters, and it looks like this winter would be one of the best. And then you look at the mortgage application to buy a home. Realtors always say to their clients, demonstrate seriousness by getting a mortgage approval. So what are consumers doing? They're filing for mortgages, and it is up 30% from 1 year ago, implying that there is plenty of buyers in the pipeline ready to hit the marketplace. So a very good condition. We are seeing high home sales, high pending contracts, and people lining up ready to hit the market based on mortgage applications. But one big constraining factor is lack of inventory. We simply don't have sufficient inventory, and therefore multiple offers becoming very common. By definition, multiple offer means one winner and multiple losers. And people who did not get the bid has to start all over again. And it's a headache for the consumers, it's a headache for the realtors to go through this process. Only way to relieve this is we need more inventory so that people can make a measured decision. They don't have to hurry their decision and without the multiple offers. Certainly good news for home sellers, but it's a headache for home buyers. We need more inventory. A trend that is developing in the pandemic, we tried to take survey of realtors about what their consumers are doing. And here's what we are finding as related to locational choices. There's a greater interest for homes in the suburbs and also in a rural area and in a smaller town. People are seeking quieter life away from city centers. Resort recreation should always be less than 10%, but now showing up at 13%. So if there is a home near the lake, this is what people are looking for. So this trend is developing. Why? So anecdotally, not scientific surveying, just anecdotally, when I speak with few realtors that I know very well, they comment this, not the realtor's opinion, but what their clients are saying. Their clients are saying some of the social unrest that has turned violent, they don't like it. They're seeking homes out in a quieter place. Now, killing of the George Floyd clearly raised a very important issue for America. All Americans should be treated with human dignity. Black Americans should be treated with human dignity. So it's a very rightful issue to highlight. And when people are protesting, they're exercising their First Amendment rights. Everyone loves the Constitution. Everyone believes in the First Amendment. But people don't like the violence. People don't like the looting. And even in the areas, cities where they may not have that experience, people are perceiving it could. And hence, they are saying they are seeking safer neighborhood. So those are some of the comments. But the overwhelming comments as to why people are going to the suburbs or smaller town rural areas are saying, work from home. If one does not have to commute to downtown every single day, why do you need to be so close to downtown? Twitter company has announced to their employees, you can work from home forever. Facebook believes half of their employees could possibly work from home forever. Microsoft is taking application from their employees as to why kind of justification to work from home in a greater flexibility. Now, for many financial institutions and other office jobs, maybe it's not going to be this flexible. Maybe it's some type of hybrid. Come to office 2 days a week, other 3 days you can work from home. So irrespective, if people are given more time to work from home, they're saying, look, I'm gonna go farther away, buy a larger size home at affordable prices. And this is where Gateway region, I think you could greatly benefit. Homes are, relatively speaking, one of the most affordable regions of the country. And even resident from, say, someone from Chicago. I know it's very far away, but it's a quick flight from St. Louis over to Chicago. So if they can make an arrangement where they need to be in office in Chicago only a few days per month, then they say, why don't I have a large house out in Southwest Illinois? So this is type of development, I think that will greatly benefit the Southwest Illinois region, smaller towns, rural areas, the extension of the suburbs. All these are very, very good sign for your area. And when we take also sales data, when we look at the counties that cater to vacation homes, you know, near the lakes or near the ocean, near the mountains, it is actually doing better than ordinary homes because work from home can also be work from vacation home. You know, you do the Zoom technology, you would know where you are, whether you. So the homes out in the vacation region are also doing very well. So the forecast is that home prices will definitely rise because we have a housing shortage. Home sales, even though we missed the spring buying season, second half is so strong that I think in 2020, once all the data are computed, we will actually have beaten 2019. And as we go into 2021, we will have the vaccine, job recovery will accelerate, mortgage rates will be very low because Federal Reserve is all in maximum liquidity, and you combine that with second order housing demand. And what do I mean by second order housing demand? These are people back in January and February, before the pandemic, never ever consider selling their home. But suddenly they're beginning to say, my 3-bedroom home is insufficient. I need a home with a 4th bedroom or even 5th bedroom to turn it into office and another office for my spouse. So you will begin to see this, people who never consider entering the market begin to consider, and some actually deciding to make the move. So the second order demand will begin to appear in 2021 and beyond. So right now, the housing market, one of the surprising sectors of the economy doing very well. And I think you are well positioned to benefit, especially the trend towards going away out into the outlying suburbs or even more distant, smaller towns. So thank you for providing me with this opportunity. It's very early in the morning. I know you are looking at the election results to see if there's any new changes, but thank you for having me. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Kyle.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Yoon. I really appreciate it. And so we do have a couple questions. Desiree Benioff asked, what are your thoughts / economic predictions based on who wins the presidential outcome?
I think the economy will actually be more determined by the vaccine discovery. That will be the big part. And the other part is that given that it looks like, again, the Senate will be retained by the Republicans, any policy will not be any big switches because it will require compromise. And hence, I think first there will be another stimulus measure through that compromise. I know Nancy Pelosi would like to see much larger amount, continue to provide large unemployment benefits, while Mitch McConnell is saying, no one will come back to work if we continue to provide generous benefit. And other sticking point was Nancy Pelosi wanted to give large money to states like New York and California, where their economy is not doing well, while President Trump and Mitch McConnell has been saying, just reopen the economy, and that's how you get the economy going. So those were some of the sticking points, but I think once we know the election results, people understand the need for compromise. So I think the second stimulus will also propel the economy. Interest rates will be low. I'm not concerned about whether or not we will fall into a second recession. Only the part is if we have a second lockdown. If we have a second lockdown, then we would go into a recession.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions is, what do you anticipate with interest rates? So you foresee them staying low for the foreseeable future, or?
The Federal Reserve's intent is to keep the interest rate low for the next 3 years. However, there's one caveat, and one caveat is for any real estate professional who were in the business in the 1970s, or you purchased the home in the 1970s or early 80s, you were paying like 18% interest rate. And why? Well, because there was high inflation. We are printing so much money that we may get some inflation in future years. So irrespective of the Federal Reserve, they may want to keep the interest rate low, but if inflation pops out, the lending rate will be high. But I would say 2021 interest rate will be low. 2022 maybe slowly creeps up. So at least for the next couple of years, no worries on interest rates.
Okay, and hold on real quick. A lot of thank yous on our chat. One other question I have is, so we do see consumer trends changing, like unfortunately drinking at home. We find the vaccine, and just looking at, I know no one can predict human behavior, but do you foresee those changes like commercial real estate? How can we poise ourselves in a bedroom kind of community to a metro area in the best possible manner to capitalize on those changing consumer trends? So people are staying at home, maybe they're not commuting to work anymore, shared office space. What type of things do you see us being able to do as a result?
So I worry about downtown St. Louis. People are not commuting to downtown as much, but I'm less concerned about the suburban office space or suburban retail spaces. I know in the interim it's difficult, but I think as more people stay in the suburbs and able to work from the suburbs, first, there will be some demand. Satellite offices need to be opened up in the suburbs, so that's an opportunity. And second, people are not eating at downtown St. Louis, but they are eating out in the suburbs. So I think that's where also begin to facilitate. So commercial real estate is taking it on the chin right now, but I would worry any downtown of major cities like St. Louis or Chicago, but less worry about the suburb landscape.
Okay. Well, on behalf of everyone, I know the Chamber is very appreciative of your time this morning. And I know the Realtor family is. Elaine chatted, thank you very much for everything you do for us, Dr. Yoon. So thank you very much. I know you can't go take a nap because you have NAR meetings. I can't either, unfortunately, even though I want to. But again, thank you very much for your time. And I know everyone thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.